Welcome to Trail Tales ARP
a running podcast for every type of runner.
with Sean Soban and Russell the Runner.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Trail Tales ARP. We have a return amazing human being, a good friend of mine, back on the podcast. He was on the podcast earlier this year, and I'm sure you'll remember him well. Thibault Delacroix is back with us. Welcome,
Hi,
Thibault. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm glad to be back with you guys.
That's good to, yeah, I'm happy you're back too. It's yeah, it's amazing. And everyone, Thibault has had a beyond phenomenal year of ultra marathoning adventures. To give you the background on Thibault's year, he has been successful in his tremendously challenging project for the year, which involved a few different projects. Thibault has journeyed 3 different 200-mile ultra marathons within 2024, which is beyond incredible. It started with the Delirious West 200 miler. Then 3 months later, it was the Irrational South 200 miler, followed by the Unreasonable East 200 miler. They all have quite funny names to them. And I mean, they are, I'm sure you ended up delirious, irrational, and unreasonable in all 3 of them. And so
Definitely.
congratulations on your journey, and welcome to the podcast again.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really tough year, but we do what we like.
Absolutely. Well, it's the sport that clearly you're most passionate about. And
Definitely, yeah.
and it's beyond inspiring, this journey that you've been on this year. It's couldn't be more substantial, and
Yeah.
it's truly amazing, Thibault. So let's dive on into this. So when we spoke back earlier this year, and we spoke, heading into this project, and as well as, after your first 200 miler, it was interesting to hear your perspectives as you were approaching all of this. And now that you've completed your challenge, could you share with us in each of these 3 200-mile adventures, what are the biggest things that you've learned, and perhaps list the top 3 for us?
Yeah. First, one thing I will say is I feel like the first one was the easiest. Not by the terrain or anything, because it was really tough, but because I didn't know what happened after 100 mile running. I never been over 100 mile before. And jumping in the new adventure, in something you don't know, out of your comfort zone, makes the time go faster. And I feel like it has been a little bit easier for this. The 2 other one, because I know how my body reacts after 200K, 250K, my brain was, since the beginning of the race, was saying, okay, think about this, it will happen later, and it makes you tired just by thinking and anticipate what will happen. And it has been tough. If I do something like that again, I think I will try each race to forget what I learned of the last one, just to jump in something I don't know. But it's, we are all different. People like to know what will happen. I prefer the adventure. It just, is one thing really, really hard. But how I can say, just because of each race was really different for terrain or weather or anything, it was really hard to bring the same, what you learned from the race before, you can't really bring it in the next race because it will be totally different. But yeah, that is one thing I learned from all this challenge is to not go with only what you know. Just be open to the adventure and be open to be out of your comfort zone. This will make time go faster in your head.
I can appreciate how that would be the case. I'm sure that your perspective on time has changed from these experiences. I
Yeah.
would imagine that across these three different ultramarathons that you, I'm sure there were times where time was moving slowly, and then other
Yeah.
times where it's moving quicker because you're feeling good and you're able to move well and things are going your way. But of course, there were times I'm sure where things weren't going your way, and you needed to be strong and resilient through those times. I'm curious, across these three 200-mile ultra marathons, what would you view as so with regards to day one of each of these ultras, which of the three was your toughest day one? And why would that be? And how were you feeling knowing that you had at least another, you were going to go into a third day in all of these, of course, at least. Could you describe for us your hardest first day of the three and which one it was?
Yeah, that will be actually a easy answer for me. The last race, first day was a worst. Basically, we were going to Queensland, far north Queensland, and we were in the weather or is supposed to be good. Not too hot, not too cold, but sun, no rain. And we all show up at the start was 11 a.m. and maybe at 10 to 11 it start raining and we got pouring rain for the next 20 hours straight, no break. That means you start your race, you know you're going for 2 days, 3 days, for some of the runners 5 days out, and you start under pouring rain. That means for 20 hours, is no point to change any t-shirt, short, or whatever because everything gets wet in 5 minutes. Shoes are wet, socks are wet, is no point to change. And you have to go through, and straight away you get blister. Everything is wet. Just you get blister and just you start your race like you wish, you don't want to start like that, but it's no choice. It has been tough. The first 20 hours of the last race has been the toughest. It's been awful.
I'm yeah, weather plays a huge role. I'm digesting what you've just shared. It's hard to but it's hard to believe that you would get 20 straight hours of rain right at the beginning. I've never heard of that happening before in any ultra.
But
That's
it,
incredibly rare, of course.
yeah, but you know when you go to Queensland in Australia, you have to be ready for this. It happened really often there. The problem is when it happened last, we were starting a race. If he have been at the end of the race, it will be tough because we will have been tired and everything. But at the start of the race, it just put you down straight away. Now it was very a tough first day, definitely.
And based on that weather and as long as that went on nearly a day, how many blisters did you end up with?
Uh, Quite a bit, but now when I'm going for a long run like that, I'm taping all my feet and toes separately before the race. So like that blister appear, but behind the tape. And I leave them in because I don't feel them and they can pop, they can do everything, it still be protected all the time. Yeah, I get a lot of blisters on this kind of run, but I don't really feel them. And like the last one, I maybe, yeah, all just past the halfway point, I change all my bandage, but I change them just once. and that's it.
That's good to hear that you're, only changing it once and that it wasn't too like you were able to mitigate it and it wasn't painful for you and that the
No,
tape helped to mitigate that. It's from my perspective, it's strategic. You were taping them up before each of the three 200-mile ultras.
you
That's
learn after the first race.
Yeah, I'm sure you've learned hugely. That would be difficult. And so and so I'm curious, what was your best time across the three ultra marathons? And were they all similar in terms of their elevation gain and descent?
Um, yes, it was quite similar about elevation and everything. Um, but is mostly is the only difference thing. Basically, you had the first one, it was a lot of sand because it was coastal run. The second one was more in the land, but it was very rocky because it was a lot of creek bed, and just basically at the bottom of the rivers is rock everywhere. But because everything was dry, we was running in it. Like really technical, rocky, just really loose rock as well. And the last one was really tropical and in forest. Now there was very, very all different about it. But yeah, now it just kind of it was very it's hard to compare each race basically. And it's for that just comparing the time of each race for me don't bring much value, but my goal was to do the race under 70 hours each one, and I did it. I did the first one in 68, I think, 68 hours. Second one was 61 hours, and the last one was 64.
I can appreciate your rationale as to why it's hard to compare the three of them based on the different types of terrain you just described. Of course, when you're going for such an extreme, huge magnitude of a distance and the terrain is such incredibly different, then that would just not lead to you comparing the three of them. But I think the only thing that could make them at all comparable is the elevation gain and descent. For example, if one
Yeah.
had double the elevation gain, then of course that's going to be a much
The
slower.
second and last one was really similar, and the first one was a little bit less. Uh,
Okay. How much elevation were they for
I
approximately?
think the
Was it
second
about
and
20,000 or maybe even
no
30,000 feet?
less. It's
Less.
less on the under 7,000. It just for the yeah, it
Feet
was
or meters?
meters.
Oh, okay. So then that would be over 20,000 feet then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
that would be
yeah.
about 23,000 feet,
It,
7,000 meters. Yeah.
on honestly on the when you compare to the distance, it doesn't sound a lot,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of flat part in it. That means all the elevation is in few small parts. You're really going up, 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 down, and after will be flat for 50K. You know,
It's good to hear that the vast majority of it is flat for you, even if it's technical, because then that allowed you to run, which is what led you to being successful in having 61, 64, and 68 hour
yeah.
times, which is truly amazing. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter yeah, how much elevation in a sense like
Mm.
running the distance you did. It's, any ultra marathon, of course, is impressive in distance, whether it's flat or whether it has
Yeah,
elevation
definitely.
or anything, right? But that's truly remarkable. You were able to move at that efficiency that across all three of them. The next question I had for you, and I know we've focused on this and talked about it before, brother, would be, with regards to sleep, did you how did the first one go, and did that help you to strategize for the next two? And how did
I
sleep go in general?
I learn a lot about sleep and my aptitude to sleep in it. Um, Basically, on the first race, because it was the first time I was going to the 200 miler, I decided to schedule my sleep. It was three sleep station in the first one, and I planned to sleep 2 hours on each. But when I arrived at the first one, I was feeling really good. And I'd say, no, I don't need to sleep 2 hours. I slept an hour and I keep on going and I skip the second. And, my strategy didn't work because I didn't know how I will manage it. Second race, I did differently. I say, I'm running until I'm getting tired, and I'm gonna get asleep when I'm getting tired. Donc I run over almost 200K before getting tired and before stopping to sleep, I think, on the second one. And the last one, I say to myself, I need to do differently, and I need to work with power nap instead of real sleep. And I basically just pushing and just took power nap more often, but really short. Don't go over 15 minutes. And basically, for the last one, I think I slept around of 45 minutes total. And is one time I stopped, I was feeling good. I say, oh, I have time. I want to sleep. I tried to sleep for an hour and I didn't fall asleep. That means I didn't recover properly. I was not in a good mood when I get up and I lose an hour basically. But it's happened, I should have listened myself, say, okay, just working on power nap, and I think it will have worked better for me.
And based on that, yeah, that I was going to follow up in terms of, yeah, what you would recommend. So based on that, you would stick with emphasizing power naps. That's what you would recommend to ultra runners who are pursuing
Yeah.
over
And
100 miles.
yeah, and you have a lot of technique, to fall in sleep quickly. Before the last race, I work with Zach Miller here in Adelaide, and he's a music therapist. And he helped me to relax with music, and he gave me playlist for me to relax my body and my brain. And I've been using this playlist in for power napping during the race. And in 4 minutes, it put me in sleep.
What kind of music is this?
He he give me a band because they play just as an instrumental, but it's more you have a bit of guitar, light drum, piano. We try with some piano music before, but the piano note make me focus on it, and I can't sleep and relax because I'm too focused on the piano note. But when it's a mix of instruments, my brain just relax and I can fall in sleep in 4 minutes with it. And it's a beauty, for me doing a power nap, 15-minute power nap. Took me 4 minutes to fall in sleep. I have 11 minutes of deep sleep before my partner wake me up and say, okay, you have to go back and done.
That's great to hear. That brings joy to my heart for you. That type of music would aid you to be able to sleep better and in a shorter time span where it sounds like you went into a deep sleep,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Lot
Which
of
is
people,
great.
lot of people who do backyard ultra will listen meditation. They will have 10 minute track of meditation and they put that in their ears and for 10 minutes they relax their body. Me, I know the music, just can't do it. So good.
Yeah, it's interesting with regards to the backyard ultras. I've always enjoyed following the backyard ultras and yeah, seeing how they especially how Harvey Lewis, who's the world record holder,
Yeah,
as we know, with 4.5 days straight. It's interesting how they use that type of music, some of them, to calm their bodies. I know Harvey was preaching that staying relaxed is so important. And
agree.
if we can stay relaxed and and clearly you were able to do that, based on this type of music you were listening to, then you can sleep deeper, and then you'll get up, you'll feel more refreshed, and you'll be able to move efficiently out of there after a short, efficient nap, which played perfectly into your hands. You must have been happy about that.
Yeah, definitely. This is a big intake from the last race. Is I think for this kind of distance and this kind of race, I find my sleep strategy, I will say. I know what works for me. I know I can go long with some power nap. I know I need this kind of music or track or anything to help me relax. This means just for the next one, it will be, I guess, a bit easier because I can take what I got from this last race.
I'm happy to hear that for you. It's clearly it's wisdom from experience. Now that you've
That's it.
done three of these, and you've fine-tuned it and mastered it on this last one, it's brilliant. You'll be able to bring that forward. The next thing I wanted to chat with you about, Thibault, would be food. So let's talk about what was your nutrition like, your fueling. Tell us about it.
For fueling, me, I'm a big fan for this big run. I need a lot of carb and protein, and I eat a lot of ham and cheese toasty during the race. For me, ham and cheese toasty just make me go, just is enough for me to go. But I basically will eat one sandwich almost at each aid station. Okay, it's a lot, but it just, with the number of calories you spend, it just is fine. And is one thing just hydration is, I think, is one of the most important. And I honestly work with Bix. Bix Hydration is a company, is an Australian company, and I use their active and recovery and the caloric drink as well. It's basically like other company, I want to say, but it just Bix is one electrolyte and stuff I can digest. I had problem digestion with a lot of other brand, and Bix is the one I can digest. I've been using each leg I left with caloric drink and electrolyte.
That's good to hear that you were able to consume a sandwich at each and every aid station in all of these ultras. That's quite impressive. Clearly based on that, you didn't have any stomach issues, which I expect you wouldn't because you're moving at a fairly comfortable pace, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, you're moving at about a 3 to 4 mile per hour pace
Yeah.
at any given time. So I can see how that worked well for you. Ham and cheese, that would be good protein. I love how, yeah,
But
that's great. I love ham. I wouldn't go for the cheese personally, but I can see why you like it. That's
yeah, but
and
it's like everything. You have to train for it. You have to train your stomach to see what you can, it just, and is it doesn't matter if you take, I don't know, for everyone who listen us, if they want to go for a distance like that, in your training, take 1 month or your focus is your food and your hydration. Go on your long run and try what you will eat during race. I will give an example, before I was working I was not working, but I was eating some cereal bar. I don't know if I want to say the name because I don't want to give them bad advertising, but I was eating them all the time, and my stomach was getting upset in my run, and I didn't understand. And when I make some research, I discover the sugar in this bar is made from alcohol, and is what was giving me this acidic stomach. And soon as I stopped this cereal bar and I switched for something else, I was fine. But you can't know if you don't try, if you don't looking for what you eat. It's for that, just take 1 month of your training, focus on your food and your hydration. And when you find what you can digest and what you like, the rest will be easy during the eat just repetitively for a few hours, eating the same thing, and that's it.
Yeah, that's I very much appreciate your thoughts there and your perspective on it. It's yeah, it's spoken like a true ultra running coach. And yeah,
It
and
is
so
by
I'm glad
expert.
that you like learned what worked for you and then applied it.
Yeah.
That's led
Is
to your success.
But it's by experience, it just uh, I have been running ultra for years now, and just I had time to make mistake. I had time to see what do not work for me and what work for me. And I have people who ask me just, oh, what do you eat? Because I have a race, I will do the same. No, don't do it because what I eat may be not working for you. Train for it and find what you like. After, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to give idea. Yeah, try this, try that, do this recipe, do this. But you have to train and see if it's working for you or not. We are all different.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you emphasized that importance because yeah, nutrition is individualistic, and as you said so wisely there, you need to find what works for you uh and and will make you to be successful.
Yeah.
And that will sit well for you in terms of reaching your goals while you're on these adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah, with regards to your
If I
fixed
if
hydration, I'd never heard of that. Can you share with us how many calories are in a packet of that?
Oh, I actually don't really know.
Is
It's
is
not
it about
something.
100 calories per packet?
No, I think it will be over 200 calorie for a flask of 400 to 500 ml. Will be
Oh, okay.
200. Yeah.
200 calories per flask? That's amazing.
Yeah.
About half a liter?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing because here I've got what I use for my ultra marathoning hydration. I use Scratch Labs. That's Scratch with a K.
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored by anyone, but yeah, and I mean I very much like these. These have always, well, they've worked for me ever since I tried them, but they only
Yeah.
give 80 calories per half a liter, which is
But
still a good amount.
this is an electrolyte. This is not a caloric drink.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because in my electrolyte, I will have a bit of calorie as well, but this is not a caloric drink. It's not made to give you calories. It's made to bring you sodium and all this stuff.
Oh, okay. Now that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Which of course sodium and potassium are so important in ultras. And so yeah, obviously that's how you've been successful in these three 200-mile ultras is by taking enough sodium and potassium as well as
Yeah.
the
You see,
electrolytes.
I just checked. What I use is 150 calorie plus 36 gram of carbs for 500 ml.
That's amazing. Yeah,
It
that's a
is,
huge amount of like that's a good amount of grams for carbs that kept you
yeah,
strong while you were going throughout, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it is easy to digest. For me, it's easy to digest. I've been trying some other brand and it didn't work,
Yeah.
Just yeah, it's so many different of product now in the market. Is a many good one, but doesn't mean we can all use the same. Yeah,
Definitely. And I'm glad that over time you found what works for you and that's led to these three amazing adventures for you. It's beyond incredible. I wanna transition to that like the next question I have for you. Clearly you've achieved what most people could never ever fathom. And I'm very curious, Thibault. Where do you go from here? Do you have bigger dreams? Are you thinking of perhaps even having your own individual adventures, or would you like to stick with the 200-mile ultramarathon race distances?
is it just I always like to go further, It just when I reach one distance, say, oh, what's happened when you go over this distance? And yeah, next year I think I will focus on backyard ultra for a full year to see. I would like to still working on my sleep and to be able to keep on going for a few days if possible and keep working on my sleep strategy. And yeah, I will do that for next year. And I already my eyes on few race in Europe for later. Is I saw one called Swiss Peak 660, and is actually I he called 660, but the race is around of 700K. Just is an idea.
That's beyond phenomenal.
Yeah, is
You're thinking, you're considering it.
yeah, yeah. He just
Do you think you will pursue it?
yeah. I th
Yeah.
I think he just I want to give me maybe 2 or 3 years to plan it properly and yeah, do it before I'm getting too old.
Absolutely. I just did not expect this. Like, this is incredible. That's over 400 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's that. And through the Swiss
Swiss,
mountains.
yeah, Swiss Alp and
Yeah,
is a really, really big race.
that's incredibly serious. And you have more than what it takes to go for that. Clearly you're
Thanks.
hugely experienced now. I'm still digesting what you've just shared. This is incredible, Thibault. And yeah, so you will be solely focused on backyard ultras for next year, but you will be targeting this in perhaps 2026 or 2027.
Yeah, maybe yeah, 2027. Depends what the backyard ultra next year bring me, and I'm planning to do maybe two of them just during the year, and yeah.
That's amazing. And so will these backyard ultras next year be local for you, or what's the plan there?
I'm going to travel interstate because now I opened a food truck here in Adelaide, and I'm doing food, healthy food who are made for sport people, basically for athletes. And now I'm working with a lot of running events here on the weekend, and I'm mostly working at the race event now more than racing. It's for that I'm good. I have to go interstate to race, but yeah, I will stay in Australia next year, I think.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. And I'm sure that you would like to, and it's so wonderful that you're involved with the running community, as of course you would be. You're a great gent,
Yeah,
Thibault. And the running community there is so lucky to have you. Uh
thank you.
of course. And uh I wanted to ask, of course, one of your dreams would be to qualify for Big Dog's Lazarus Lakes Backyard Ultra World Championship, right?
Definitely. If one day I got the opportunity to go, of course I will take it with no hesitation.
That's amazing. And I have full belief in you that you would be able to qualify for that. I'm sure you'll have to speak with your friend. Shout out to I haven't had the opportunity to chat with him much, but Aaron Young, I know he's been there and I know he was racing you in these 200-mile ultras.
He's he's a great man. He's a great man. He just honestly this challenge we because he was there on all race and he won actually all the race and we spoke a lot and we become friends, just other than racing each other, we have been friends, it just and that is so good.
That's amazing. And obviously, the people that we meet in ultra running who we bond with so deeply within the sport is that's life changing. I'm happy you've got him in your corner because he's very experienced, but now you've become very experienced yourself and that's an amazing thing.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you for next year. I
but
believe that you could hit 300 miles in the backyard ultra.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I will do
And
my
for,
best
and for
for it.
those that don't know, that's 3 days of running in a row.
It's what I did, but slower.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I am so excited for you to go for this, Thibault. And so
Thank
just
you.
to wrap up our podcast, can you share with us what running means to you now after all of this and how it's changed you as a person?
he, for
Hard to
me,
put it into words, right? It's
no, yeah, just the thing for me, running is more like a bit like a self-meditation. You know, when you go for this long, you spend so much time with yourself in the middle of nowhere with no one around, and you learn a lot about yourself and everything. But soon as you're out of this and you are with people, you just get so much of community. The community give you so much that at the end you can see you're not alone. It's not a self sport, you know, it's a full community for it. Like it's hard for me to describe what is running for me after all of this. It's just I want to say self meditation and community all together.
yeah.
And it's two different things, can't be matched.
Yeah, you described that so well, and
I will call it self
those are
community.
beautiful truths about our sport. You know, when you know everyone in our sport, you always hope that they're good human beings and that they're in the sport for the right reason. I know that you are, Thibault, and it's
Thank you.
yeah, it's always it's special what we can learn. Uh and the community that we can be a part of within it when things go the way they should, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing all of this with us. And
Thank you
just
for having
wanna,
me again.
yeah, of course. And so you know how we end the podcast, and that is run
Run
wild.
wild.
Yeah, let's say it again. Run wild.
Run wild.
Where is the oh, there.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Trail Tales ARP, a running podcast from Sean Sobon and Russell the Runner. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at trail_tales_ARP. Check out our YouTube channel at Trail Tales ARP, and you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Catch you next time. Run wild.
No, I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so what? You're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad, I stay strong. You will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math when I